Okay, folks, in this series we're going to be looking at welding processes, talking a little bit about safety as well, and it's going to be a lot of not so much blueprint reading as it is just information and technical terminology to make sure you have a really good feel of the welding processes themselves and also factors that are involved with each of them. We even want to consider economic conditions and those type of things associated with process selection, because you never know, you might be making the decisions one day on what type of welds to be using within your own company or in a management position, that sort of thing. So that's what we're going to talk about. But before we do that, I want to just give you a little fun thing that we often use to sort of break up the monotony sometimes in long lectures or just take a break. We actually found these a few semesters ago, but there's actually some welding games that we like to play and actually to train new folks with them, just to kind of give them a feel. I won't say training, but to give folks a feel for welding. Now, the reason I point this out is because, you know, sometimes it's fun just to kick back and play a little online game. But the other thing is this. With the augmented reality technology that's coming along, the things where you're able to actually visually overlay a screen image with, you know, whatever you're seeing in real life, the combination of a screen and a camera essentially, and computer power, augmented reality is going to create a lot of opportunities for training. And specifically, there are things referred to as virtual welders and those sorts of things that can actually train you in a lot of fabrication processes without actually having to use the equipment. So you all are likely to see a lot of transitions where welding training, certifications, and practice runs can be done in a digital format. So even though I'm going to show you a couple of little games, don't appreciate or do not appreciate the fact that this technology is becoming more and more readily available for certifications, and I do anticipate that one day that you'll start to see that happen. At the very least, a lot of practice runs can be simulated digitally, and you'll find a lot of people moving to that, especially since they're much more cost effective than the actual equipment. So having said that, let me introduce you to. So take a look. I got a couple links here, and I'll put these on the drive for you all so you can have it in the lesson folder, and I might even add some more links. But these are actually online games you can play. Now, the Trades Gamer is very interesting. The Monkey Welder is a little bit more fun, but the Trades Gamer is actually to be a little bit more geared toward the industry. We're kind of sort of a realistic thing. Let me fire it up here and let's see how it looks. Alright, so here we'll hit that. And you'll notice that these actually come from a specific website called Trades Gamer. And you'll notice also that you're going to get a couple features in terms of your tools, your heat settings, and that sort of thing. Let's go ahead and skip ahead here. And I'll be honest, it's pretty tricky to play this thing. Let's see. You use your keys on your keyboard, not so much your mouse, to control. And then of course you bring this in here and you can bring in your clicker. So you use your one hand is clicking, the other hand is on your keyboard controlling, and don't forget to hit your visor down. I've done that several times, and hit your reset. So it's a fun little game to play. Watch what happens when I forget to put my visor down. Oh, I just got blinded. So you can see kind of how this works. Key thing here is to try these things out. Like I said, they can actually be pretty fun, but they can be a good way to kind of learn processes, demonstrate safety, and, you know, good little distraction when you need a break. That's the way to go. Monkey Welder. I'll fire that one up for you. Now this one's your typical online game that is not showing up well with my Google Chrome, but it's down here. Let's hit that, and you'll see it's kind of overlapped. That's another little computer lesson for you too, is that some software does not always work with all internet browsers. So what I would typically do is go grab the link to this and open it up in like Internet Explorer or Firefox if I wanted to, if it's not showing up right here, because this overlap of advertisements is getting in my way. But I can open it up on Internet Explorer just the same. And let me go get that Monkey Welder properties here, copy that, paste it up here. You all can't see what I'm doing, but I'm just popping in that, and we'll do Monkey Welder from here. There it goes. Now it's overlapped the correct place. So you can read the instructions, how to play, oil spill, blah, blah, blah. And it's kind of fun. Cool. All right. So anyway, and there's others, but I'll put them out there for you can have, and you can check that out and see what you think about it for a good distraction. Anyway, on to actual welding processes. So our welding processes have a lot of different acronyms, and remember, when you're seeing a welding symbol, this welding process is typically going to show up right after the tail. For specific information, specifications, the welding process will be here. Now let's talk about a couple. First of all, we've got several that you'll probably already know. If you don't, we're going to talk about each one of them. You have abbreviations like S-small and G-mall, OFW, GT, GTAL, and they all have a different welding process. Some of the basics associated with welding are usually all about heat. And as we've kind of mentioned before, heat is the medium of transference that we get to convert some type of material into a, sort of a semi-liquid and use it as a binding agent to accomplish the welding process. So each of the techniques that we use end up working off of a heat type of application. So for example, since heat's involved, all the different processes that are used are going to create that heat in some form or fashion. And which process you use depends on things like, the requirements of the weld. These in caps, requirements. For example, strength requirements, what type of weld produces the strength needed for a particular joint. Accessibility. What kind of position can you get in to actually weld? That can control what kind of welding process you're going to be able to use. The equipment available. Some areas don't have the access for certain types of equipment or the economics to purchase the equipment. Welding position. How you're going to be able to actually run the bead. And possibly even the properties of the base. I want to say base metal. Typically, we don't think about this that much, but the actual properties of the base material that we're going to be combining or joining with is important to us, because some materials have certain qualities that we can actually disrupt with certain welding processes. An example would be stainless steel. Stainless steel is great because it is highly resistant to corrosion, but remember how we have heat as our medium of application? So if we get too much heat on stainless steel, what can happen is it can lose some of its corrosive resistance ability, which defeats the whole purpose of using stainless steel. So we have to be cautious about the welding processes for all of these factors and make decisions on which process we're going to use based on those. And also, not mentioned of course, but the economics of the situation really do control what type of welding process we can use. For example, if the equipment we need is not readily available in a certain place, then we might have to switch to a different process. Let's break down some of the terminology for us though. First of all, there is the oxy-fuel gas welding, OFW. I might as well capitalize these. There is, come on there, little buddy, the shield metal arc welding, or S-small. Then of course we've got our gas metal arc welding, G-mall. We've got our flux cord arc welding, and our gas tungsten arc welding. Sorry about that glitch there. So just to review, we've got our oxy-fuel. Now, I get this behave right. We've got our oxy-fuel, our shield metal arc welding, gas metal arc welding, flux core arc welding, and our gas tungsten arc welding, and this is resistance welding. As mentioned, is really good for a different type of approach. Still has heat, but it works out well for probably a lower heat type of scenario, and works really well for plastics. So things for us to be talking about. Anyway, these are the processes we're going to work with. We're working with a little safety, so we'll stop this video and head on to the next one. Actually, before we do, a little key point just thought about. I didn't actually type out the actual terms for these, but all you have to do is a quick little internet search, and you'll be able to quickly find the full wording or spelling for these acronyms if you want to. But these are typically the acronyms that you'll see at the tail ends of your weld symbol. Okay, we'll see you next time.